Hi friends, welcome to a new video. I asked you guys over on my Instagram if you had any areas that you would like some advice on. The areas that I'm going to give advice on are classmates, perfectionism, violate, actually designing, productivity, negative crits, what to do if you're not learning, and how to improve and develop your skills. So let's just get started. So the first thing that you guys wanted advice on is competitive classmates. So this is a really tough situation to be in, and I totally understand your point of view of like you're trying to learn, you go to this new school, new university, you're trying to ask some classmates what they're doing and stuff. But I don't understand the people that just literally, don't want to even tell you what they're doing. If you ask them, what are you presenting next week? And they'll be like, oh, the usual, or oh, just a few drawings, nothing special. And then they end up in presentation with like boards and models and stuff. So if you are watching this and you feel like you might have been a little bit too competitive, I want to encourage you to actually share your work. All of you are in the same boat. You're all trying to do the same thing, get good grades, graduate. But you also want to have fun and make friends in the process. So just share your work, but also protect yourself from plagiarism if that's what you're worried about. Do protect your work, never send anything via emails. I used to get this all the time. People would come to me and ask, hey Rasha, can you send this report that's like 4,000 words via email? I can't do that because it's very easy to just copy and paste stuff. But if you are trying to get some experience from someone in your classmate and they're not sharing, try to find someone else. Maybe if not in your school, look outside of your school. The architectural community is so wide, so big, and so strong. You can reach out to people in the comments down below. You try to make international friends on Instagram. Never underestimate these things. I also love looking at precedent medals. Pinterest is a good place if you want to learn just, visual inspiration, but I don't like using Pinterest a lot because it rarely ever shows you the full project, and that's what you need. When you're starting out, you need to understand the full project in the process, because I would create drawings from Pinterest because I like them and I like the style of it, which is a good place to start, but you should also try to think beyond the drawings and the renders. The next thing is perfectionism, and I've talked about this before because I've struggled with perfectionism for a really long time. It was really bad in Saudi, the school that I was in. I'm very grateful that when I moved here to the UK, I learned so much more about mental health, how to overcome perfectionism, and I've gotten to a really good place. Try to see and visualize the way it manifests in your work and your projects. The biggest way it used to manifest in my project was that it used to take me so long to start anything just because I was really scared that it wasn't going to be perfect, and I would doubt myself and my abilities. With me, how I overcome this was to just let go, take all of the pressure off. It doesn't have to be perfect. I used to think so far ahead in the future, and I would say, oh, this drawing had to be perfect because I need to put it in my portfolio. But actually, if I let go and try to take all of the pressure off and just start and do something with the mindset that this doesn't have to be my portfolio. If it sucks, if it turns out terrible, I'm just not gonna put it in my portfolio, and I can create something else that would go in my portfolio. Or even when I do want to add my portfolio, I can fix it, I can improve it, I can develop on it. Just knowing that whatever you do now doesn't have to be fully 100%, and knowing that I can develop it and enhance it later, it just takes off so much pressure. Another thing that helped me, is working on my self-esteem, trying to be more confident in my work, and just, recognizing the things that I am good in and my strength, as well as my weaknesses and the areas that I would like to develop and improve on. But always reminding myself either words of affirmation or even, like writing these things down and putting it somewhere in your desk, or maybe it's your wallpaper, that you are smart, you are good enough, and you can do this. It just gives you so much positive energy and momentum to get things started. And the last thing that really helped was the 80-20 rule. So I've recently watched a video, I'll have it linked in the card as well as the description box. She was so inspiring because I am trying to focus more on living more in the present and stop worrying about the outcome of things and being too invested either in the future or the past. So that video really helped, and she also spoke about perfectionism and the 80-20 rule. So basically what that rule says is, instead of focusing on giving something or getting something or a task to be 100% perfect, if you focus on getting it to 80% perfect, then first of all, that gives you the momentum to get started because you know that it doesn't need to be perfect. And then second of all, it saves you 20% of time and energy. Guys, this has really changed everything for me. You know, I used to spend and waste so much time trying to get things perfect when, you know, I could have actually produced something and enhanced it and developed it and added more detail, which would have made it a more compelling piece. It would have made it more interesting to look at instead of focusing on that one perfect image. Now, when it comes to failing, I've gotten comments from you guys saying that you failed a few years or that you failed a course or an assignment, and I am here to tell you that I am so incredibly proud of you for getting back up and trying again. You know, it takes so much strength to fail at something and then to have to do it again and again. That makes you such a strong person. That is honestly inspiring. I am really sorry that you failed, but try not to be discouraged. I know it's really difficult and it's easier said than done, but just try to think that whatever you do in life, if it's architecture, any course, or even anything that's worthwhile in your life, it's gonna take some time and patience and dedication. Overnight success is very rare, and actually everything in life is more of a marathon, and architecture is the same. Just know that you are incredibly strong, and if you fail the first time or the second time, the third time, you are gonna make it. What you should do is also assess why you failed. So just be kind to yourself and keep going. When it comes to actually designing, I've gotten comments from people asking, how do you actually design? And I think that's really hilarious because a lot of the times I would just sit there with a pen or a pencil in my hand and be like, now what? I feel like this deserves a really big video on its own because I don't think I can say it very eloquently in a matter of 1 or 2 minutes. So let me know in the comments if you would like a video on that, on how to actually design, because I think that would be very fun. But anyway, my tips would be learn so that you can design. There's this quote that I swear by, I love it, resonates with me so much, which is learn the rules like a pro so that you can break them like an artist, which honestly sums up design for me. If you are tasked with, designing a house, but you have no idea how a building works, how a house works. With a house, you might have a few ideas, you might have thought of your dream house, but what do you do when you're tasked with designing a hospital? How can you know how to design any of that if you don't know how the building works? So that is my biggest tip. So I would first do a lot of research on how the building works, which is brief analysis, and I've spoken a lot in my videos about it. And then I would gather inspiration, so precedent studies. So then you have what the building should be and what the building can be, and then you mix them together. And that's how you get original ideas. This is just my way of doing things, but there are no, set or right ways of doing things with design. Everything is so subjective. So just start small, get some feedback on what you're doing, assess it, what's the good things about it, what are the areas that you'd like to improve, and don't change your concept too many times. I've made that mistake so many times in undergraduate. That's the whole design process. You start with something and then you improve. And it takes a lot of practice and, being self-aware and self-critical and really observing what makes a building successful and what doesn't. Some of you have asked how to stop comparing yourself to other people. I think everyone on this planet have compared themselves to someone else at some point in their life. You're scrolling through Instagram or Pinterest, you'd see someone else's work and you would just think, wow, they must have like this winning formula. What you should realize is one image or one video doesn't show you the hours and hours that it took to create teaching and the school that you're in. You know, a lot of schools are more explorative and a bit more abstract, while other schools are more technical. So you shouldn't compare yourself to someone else because it is completely different. Both of you did not spend the same amount of time on something. Both of you didn't have the same experiences and the same circumstances. And usually when you compare yourself to someone else, it's usually someone that's really experienced at what they do. So you would be comparing your first day next to their 20 years of experience or 10 years of experience. And that is a long time. Say today your work might not be where you want it to be, but next week you'll get a tiny bit better, and then the week after you get even a bit closer, and every week you get a bit closer to where you want to be. Sooner than later you're gonna get to that stage that you first wanted, and all of the hard work that went into this will just feel so rewarding and it will pay off. And I can guarantee that if you look at your work today and compare it to your first day of architectural school, even if it's just a tiny bit different, that is still improvement and progress. So now, how to deal with negative crits. So my advice would be to just think of it as a conversation. Sometimes you would have a conversation with a friend or someone and you would really enjoy this conversation, you'd learn more, but then you'd have conversations with other people who are quite negative and just drain you and just makes you feel blah. So if you think of critiques that way, it takes a lot of the pressure off. What you should do is filter out all of the negative noise and just try to read between the lines. So someone also asked about spending too much time on one task. So I used to analyze my work and the time that goes into doing any drawing. If something is taking me 45 minutes to an hour, where essentially it's just a simple task, then I need to stop and ask myself, why is it taking me so long? Like, am I not looking properly? Am I not using the right websites? Or maybe this information that I'm trying to find is just not out there. So then I would regroup and say to myself, okay, what is the best way to do this? You know, I was trying to do this specific style of drawing, so I thought maybe people would create them using 3ds Max. So then I started learning 3ds Max and I've spent, countless hours learning about it, but then realized that, if I did this in a different way, I wouldn't have had to spend this much time. So my advice would be is to really, really hone in on your softwares that you are using. There's no need to learn more and more softwares. If you know the basics, which I recommend Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, and then a 3D modeling software, a 3D rendering software, and that's it. Once you have a list of those softwares, really understand them. Like, try to find out how things are done, the shortcuts. I'm not going to be hard on myself because of the time that I spent on doing a task that was in the past, because what happened has happened. But now I can focus more on the future and then hopefully get quicker and quicker at doing things. The final area that I want to talk about is how to improve and develop. So say you are in university and you've been getting good grades, you have critiques and stuff, no one tells you you're doing exceptionally bad at anything, or maybe you're just really passionate, you want to take your learning to a whole new level. So my biggest advice would be to read. Once you start reading different essays and articles that are outside of just design, you would see that architecture is so much more than just buildings, and architecture is not just the exterior design of buildings. It's so much more, and it's so interesting, and that will really challenge you, because when you commit to a concept that is completely outside of your comfort zone, it really pushes you on, how do you actually make architecture for, let's say, humanity? Or how do you fight for equality through architecture? How do you fight for sustainability and fighting climate change? And I can't wait to see what you guys create. If you create anything, please share with me on my Instagram page. Also, in my description box you'll find a link to my Fiverr services if you need help or need feedback on anything. You can also book a private tutorial with me on SuperPeer if you need help with a specific project. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and you thought it was helpful. Let me know in the comments down below if you have any more questions or areas that you'd like advice on. I hope you guys have a good day. I'm Rasha Shurudo and I'll see you next time.